morning, everybody that is listening, and good morning to my guests. We have with us today Peter Baytarian, a developer, and we have Alan Shore, a developer. So let me give you a little background, and of course, Sierra's with us as always.
Yes.
Peter Baytarian is building an amazing project up in the Palm Beaches, 330 luxury condominiums on the Intercoastal Waterway with a marina, a hotel component, a retail component that we're super excited about. And Alan is with the Stronach group out of Toronto. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Stronach. It's pronounced all different ways. We're actually changing our name to First Properties.
Okay.
That'll be announced later this month.
And Alan, you and your team, along with Sasha Isquera, who's going to be heading up your marketing and your rental team,
Yes.
you're building an amazing 400-unit rental complex at Gulfstream Racetrack, which I believe is super exciting.
Yes.
So I made sure, guys, not to have two competing developers on the phone. We have our condo development and we have our rental. So I'm going to shift over to Peter. Peter, we have been working now together, I'm going to say almost a year. And we have put in a tremendous amount of energy and time in bringing something that to Lake Park, which I believe is going to crush the marketplace. We have an amazing price point. We have an amazing, amazing pool deck. I always say it's like Disney World. We have amazing amenities and great retail. So with that said, Peter, you could take off.
So I think through this amazing team that we've put together, as you said, we put together a really nice project that's a destination, something that our area really does not have currently. We have a project with 330 units on a marina with luxury amenities, a pool deck that really you've never seen before. It's almost 2 acres. We have 2 restaurants, we have retail, we have professional office space, and every unit that we have has a water view. So really an exceptional, very exciting project. And we're looking to come in under $600 a square foot.
And the greatest thing about the project is we currently have a barge that has been custom built, and our sales center will be on the ground floor and our model apartment will be on the 2nd floor, that people will be able not only to see, touch, and feel every aspect of the condominium, but they will really feel the water because the barge sits in the marina, which I think people will drop their teeth when they see what we put together. I was on the phone at 7 this morning with the naval architect.
Okay.
We had a conference call this morning and he's got all of his answers. And we could not be more excited and honored to be a part of the team. Alan, you're going to be the first of its kind on an amazing piece of property. People don't realize the magnitude of Gulfstream Racetrack and how big it is. And you have an amazing retail as well with an amazing anchor. So I'm going to give you the floor.
Thanks, Steven. So I was just going to actually share my screen here for a second, and let me know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah.
So Gulfstream Park is a really interesting project. Just by way of background, I've been a developer for about 30 years. And during the recession in 09, 10, 11, was hired by Sears Holdings, Eddie Lampert, to take over the real estate department for Sears Holdings, and about 245 million square feet of property, and And so I got to see it all, and was traveling all over the country, all over the world, in fact. And then this opportunity came along, and this is a really unique property. And they asked me if I would be the master developer for Gulfstream Park. Gulfstream Park is about 250 acres. So let me zoom in here. I think everybody knows where you are. So you got the airport to the north, the mall just to the south here. My old haunts at Sears at the mall, where I started that little development that they're now continuing. Gulfstream is great because you could always easily find it on a map. It's about 250 acres. Interestingly, 25% or so resides in Miami-Dade County, Aventura. This is the county line here, if you could see in a very light blue line. The rest of it's in Hallandale Beach. And we have one of the most successful racetracks in the entire country. So the Stronach Group, now called First.com and First Properties, owns 5 of the top racetracks in the country. So Santa Anita, Pimlico. We do not own Churchill Downs. That's the only major one that we don't own. Golden Gate Fields in San Francisco. And the property, which is unencumbered, no mortgage, of all of these projects is just incredible, the value. And what we're looking to do is to relocate, Stephen, the barns and the backstretch, as they call it. I'm becoming a horse person, to other locations nearby. And so we're looking to expand our facility up in Boynton Beach. We have a horse farm up there with an equestrian center and a rehab center for horses. And so we will be relocating all of the barns, but for 6 barns along the back that we'll bring horses down for the day. We house over 2,500 horses at this location.
Wow.
And, so it's pretty major. And with Calder shutting down, we're adding another 400 horses to our mix. And we don't own these horses. These are horses that are owned by individuals, and they race. And a horse can only race once every few weeks. So you can understand the number of horses that you need to have. This racetrack races 200 days out of the year. So we get over 1 million customers through here every year. And initially, the retail development was done by Forest City, and built about 150,000 square feet of office and about 350,000 square feet of retail space. So we are now looking to develop around the rest of the project here, with our first residential building, which will be over in this area, as Stephen mentioned, about 400 units, retail on the first floor, and looking to bring on an incredible team to help us see this one through. This will be the first residential project at the property. So that's kind of the overview, Stephen. I'll let you ask some questions.
Well, being that I've been involved now for a couple of months with Sasha and the team and yourself, I know that we've got a great mix of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and I think, again, timing is amazing. And I think the marketplace for miles around needs something of this level of quality and lifestyle, because you truly have a lifestyle. Are you allowed to talk about the anchor from last week, or is that not yet?
I would love to, but I cannot. It will be very, very exciting once we can, believe me. But we have a phenomenal anchor. And I think it is going to probably drive rents up in our building about 20% from what we would have been able to charge if we did not have this anchor. So I'll let your minds wander as to who that could be. You're probably right as to guessing, but it's one of the greatest anchors we could probably have in a multifamily building.
Well, love it. Peter, New York is not your home base all the time. I know you're doing work in Manhattan. You and the team own a tremendous amount of retail space in Manhattan as well. I'm sure everybody's locked down up there.
Very much so.
Yeah, as most of us are here, other than me, because I'm the fool that's sitting in an office to make sure everybody's taken care of. But Lake Park, I've always said, is a sleeper. It is directly opposite Singer Island, where I have been involved almost 20 years, doing almost every project, every condominium that existed on the island, from 2700 to One Singer to Vista Blue. And I can't begin to tell you that my excitement about Nautilus, it's like I never sleep anymore, because my head is, and I'm texting you all hours of the day and night. So we're excited. We think we are going to bring something to the marketplace that they will line up. I believe they're going to be lined up at our grand opening to buy. Our price point is amazing. We have a huge, wide open intracoastal views of the ocean. You'll never need to leave, whether you're a permanent resident or a vacationer. I have had lots of thought, Peter, and I want to get your take. I believe wholeheartedly that when this silent enemy decides to really be silent and disappear, there is going to be an exodus from New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, all over the Northeast. I think after 9/11 and this, people are just going to be leaving the Northeast by droves, including the Mid-Atlantic, Washington, and other areas. So, they always say timing is everything in life. Based on the fact that we're going to open up the end of the third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter this year, do you think our timing is really unreal?
Steve, I think so. I mean, when I talk to people in New York and in Boston, it's horrific what we're all going through. I feel so bad for those people. My mother's in Boston. I have a lot of close friends in New York. I have one friend of mine. He's living he got out of the city. He couldn't take being in the city. He's living in a camper in somebody's driveway in Sag Harbor because he just says the city is so brutal. And, our situation here is not great, but compared to everybody else, we have so much open space. I'm walking every day. I'm getting sun every day. We're going swimming. I mean, this is an incredible place to be in good times, and it's proven to be even in bad times. We're very, very fortunate to be here in Florida. Lots of coast, lots of sunshine.
We've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
Being in business here almost 36 years, I never experienced the debacle, as you call it, of the marketplace at the end of 08, 09.
Yeah.
But South Florida bounced back so fast. Not only did it bounce back, but prices went 30, 40% higher. They took a dip and then all of a sudden shot through the moon.
Right.
But this is a bit different. We all know that. You could speak to 20 doctors, get 20 different opinions. You watch the news, you could go absolutely out of your skull.
Yes.
This is worse than the hurricane being a week away, and the news media has people lined up at gas stations and Costco and Publix until the shelves are empty a week and a half before. And I think the public, our friends, our families, good times or bad, people need to stay positive. You can't put your head in the sand and only think about this every day and every night. And the basis of conversation, you can't become stymied by this. Everybody said it'll pass. Things have already passed overseas in some areas. I think we have a rough road. But I know in my heart that we will get past this, and our world of design and development will continue, because the American people all over the world, were really never meant to stay home.
Right.
This is an experience, as I say, that in years from now, I'll be able to talk to my grandchildren about, because we will never forget 2020 as long as we live. You know, as we'll never forget 9/11. So I want to say thank you to everybody for spending a few precious moments. And again, thank you everybody for spending time with us. Alan, have we picked a name for the project?
You know what? We've been tossing around names, so I don't want to say what the name's going to be just yet because it probably will change. There will be 2 towers. I know I'm reading some of the questions people ask.
Yeah.
What price point we're going to be at. I should probably mention that we expect to deliver the project completed in the end of 2023. So we have 3 years to develop, and as many of you know on this webinar, that goes by really quickly.
Yes.
The price points that we're seeing in today's market are probably in the 250 on up range, depends on how luxury the multifamily is. That's per square foot per month. And we're probably targeting in that $3 range, probably a little higher if everything goes as planned and as Stephen promises. We'll be able to achieve a little bit higher than that in 3 years' time. So Stephen, I don't know if you want to opine on that.
I believe you're going to be at $3 to $3.25 and maybe higher 3 years from now. Some of the finishes and the things we are putting together, I think is going to put the rental market on their ear. Never seen before in bathrooms, never seen before in kitchens. So I'm excited. You've allowed us to be super creative, as Peter has at Nautilus. Peter has given us a free hand, and I only wish tomorrow we were opening on the barge, because to me as a boater and loving the water, and I know how people will react to something so unusual. People love different.
Stephen, I actually have a few questions. Someone had asked, what a fantastic idea of the barge. Have you ever done that before?
The answer is yes. I did this, I'm going to say 15 or 18 years ago for a project in Fort Lauderdale called Latour. And Robin Leach from, may he rest in peace, I think he recently passed or very ill, I'm sorry. He came down and he did a segment of the lifestyles of the rich and famous. So we did it. It was unbelievable then, but Peter has allowed us to take this to a different level. At Latour, it was just a 1-story barge. This is 2 stories. And at 2-story, we have a full-blown model unit, exactly as it will be when somebody purchases. No change, no shortcuts, identical. So tell me
we even have the elevator. We even have the elevator.
That is correct. Tell me where a buyer could go at $550 to $600 out of the box, live on luxury, live with these amenities, and be able to walk in and not just see a living room or a kitchen or a bathroom as a model. This is the real deal. And the only thing I haven't discussed yet with Peter is how many units I could buy and what my discount is going to be. So at the end of the day, give us some more questions.
Yes, I actually have one. Peter, what are your thoughts for the future of City of Lake Park? Do you anticipate it becoming more of a tourist hotspot, or will future projects probably cater more to a residential demographic?
I think it's going to be not so much tourists, but there's going to be more and more development here now that Lake Park is encouraged with zoning change, that they've adopted this new zoning. People have other parcels of land that'll be developed. The intercoastal there is so beautiful. You're so close to the inlet. There's just so much potential. I mean, you're 10 miles from West Palm Beach Airport, very close to Palm Beach. So there's a lot of I think we'll see a lot of growth in Lake Park.
And one thing I want to mention, directly across from our site is Singer Island, where new real estate is 1,000 and up a square foot. So we believe not only are we coming out with an amazing product, we're coming out at an amazing price point where everybody loves value, that's for sure. Rich or poor, everybody loves a great value. And this is going to not last very long at this price point. I believe we will hit 700 to 800 a square foot by the time this is over. And Lake Park is just I'm gonna use the word be reborn. And I believe Peter and the project are gonna put this job, Lake Park, on the map. Yeah.
Peter, I have another question. Are there any new projects, or is this your first one? It was a question coming in from the Q&A.
I mean, this is our first project of this size. I mean,
Okay.
we do other real estate projects. We do a lot of development, but nothing of this size.
Okay. And Alan, I actually wanted to jump back to a question that I had asked Peter. So looking to the future, jump ahead maybe 5 years, do you foresee any major changes to the development industry?
To the development industry.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that question a little bit? That's a big industry. What aspect?
I guess yes.
Residential. Absolutely. I think I was in retail for a long time, and people said retail was the most dynamic development business you could possibly be in. It was always changing, always new tenants and this and that. And what we have since found is retail has become quite stagnant. There hasn't been a new retailer in the country for quite some time, let alone in the malls. So every mall in America looks exactly the same today for the most part. I think you're seeing retail, you're seeing residential be reborn and reimagined. It's all about the experiences now, much more so than the square footage. People like space, certainly, if you're coming especially out of a house into multifamily, but it's more and more about the experience, where you are, what you're seeing every day, who you're interacting with, how you're interacting with them. And I think that is really where the future of this business and the successful people in this business will be focusing their efforts now. And so I do see that is primarily the difference I see going forward in the development industry is we can't just build boxes. We can't just build boxes with balconies. We have to imagine what it's like for people to live and experience the space that they're going to be in.
Right. And Alan, I don't know if you noticed in Peter's background, he has a picture of a horse. Peter, you
intentional,
like
no doubt, Peter, right? Are you a horse person?
That was one of Peter's investments. He bought a thoroughbred, and it's still running, as they say. But I can tell you that the retail world of malls, of strip centers, is definitively changing, I believe, because of the internet. And that's why many of the malls like Aventura have just done this water theme park and things of that nature to draw families back into the mall, and it's working. Who knows what the real future is? There's no crystal ball. But the important thing today is to keep moving forward. It's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you get up and keep moving forward. And that's, I believe, everybody today in this webinar is in the same mindset. You can't run scared. You cannot sit back and worry and concern yourself with anything but how you're going to make the world and your life and your business a better place. I think this whole pandemic has been a learning experience for everybody. I think
I was gonna, I try to think about what people are going to take out of this experience. How is this experience going to change the world and how we live and in the future? And I do believe that people are going to work more and more from home. They have been. I think the trend is going to increase. What does that look like in terms of development? What does that look like in terms of how we live in our house, in our apartment? Will there be, offices that people go to in their condos and their apartments? What will the common spaces be like? Will there be shared offices? Do you want to see other people? Do you not want to see other people? Should there be conference rooms? WeWork has been a great example. See how that experiment works out in the future. But I think that people are going to take it closer and closer to their home now and figure out how do they want to spend their time. And I think that's going to be the biggest learning from this experience, is how people can operate effectively from their homes, and how does that change what we all do.
Right.
I think divorce attorneys might have a field day. That's number one. And number two, seriously, I believe if anything, a lot of people are going to come out of this scarred. And I hate to say that.
Peter, what are your thoughts?
I mean, look, we're having probably 2 to 3 calls a day where they're conference calls, and it's amazing how much we can get done from home. My kids are doing karate lessons through Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're
That's
they're having once a week, like my kids are very young, but they're having once a week like class meetings and dance parties. But I mean, we were doing this occasionally, but now it's very feasible to be home and get all this stuff done. Our barge, we're literally building a barge through the planning stage right now, through these conference calls and video meetings. It's amazing.
It's amazing what we can do.
Anybody else questions, Sierra?
Yes, there was another one for Alan, actually, and there's one for you too, Stephen. Alan, do you think there's a specific age demographic? I think that would be in terms of the rental and the rental space that you guys are building at Gulfstream.
Sure, and I'll mention also, we're not only doing this multifamily project, but we have entitled over 2,500 units already, and that is just about half of the property that is entitled today. So this 400 unit building is just the first of many to come. In fact, we're going to be building towers right on the track, so you'll be able to sit on your balcony and watch a thoroughbred race behind you. That's never been done before in the United States. It's called a super track. They have it in Hong Kong. Nothing like it here in the United States. So we're excited about that opportunity as well. In terms of demographic, we are targeting really that young professional up through the retirees, as Stephen mentioned, who are going to be coming down from the Northeast and the Midwest, who haven't yet settled on where they're going to buy. And so they're going to need a place to live for a year or so, and hopefully we'll capture them for longer. So I am more focused on the experience that people want to have as opposed to the age demographic. I don't see too many families moving in here because it's not a permanent place to live. But you don't know. We're certainly not going to limit that. One of the other features, amenity features that I'm focused on, as crazy as it sounds, is huge dog ownership. People that want to experience doggy daycare and doggy butlers, and people that can come in and take care of their pets when they're out working or traveling. A lot of people like to have a dog, but they don't want they're not always home to walk it. They're not always home to feed
That's
it.
a huge
they have travel. So that's one of the things that we're focused on. A lot of the amenities, look, they've been done. There's only so many different kinds of pools you could build or cabanas and so forth. But it's a feel. It is a feel. And I think that is the biggest thing that we're trying to go after. And I think that's going to attract all kinds of demographics from active lifestyle type of people.
Yeah, definitely will. Stephen, so do you think it's going to be more productive working from home? That was another one of the questions someone had?
For me, in my world, in the design world, it's an impossibility to be productive at home. You can't have the source library. You can't have 1,000 sample books of fabrics. You can't have 200 samples of flooring. It really is impossible. And the internet, you can't touch it and feel it.
But as
So-
far as like, I guess, the general idea of it, because yeah, for interior design, it's tough,
I think it might work for lots of businesses. I
right?
don't know that it works for every business or even close. And I think there are people that are very creatures of habits. One of my dearest friends is one of the largest commercial real estate holders in the United States. His corporate offices are in Boca. Although he enjoys his downtime more than most, I could never see him working from home, even though he has the capabilities. He has his son working with him in the office, his brother-in-law, and a huge staff, lawyers, etc. And there's a different sense of feeling. I don't care what you say. This is great. We all see each other, and it's nice that Peter's home with the kids. But it's only been a couple of weeks that he's been home with the kids and the dogs. And I believe the world of office, in my world, and in many, will never go away. There's
What about your marketing?
my marketing is not staying home either. Get no ideas, Sierra. Lisa, because I know she's listening. Or Sarah that's been working from home. And have me on the phone all the time about this idea or that idea. So this is, although it's great, we right now have no option.
Right.
Really think about it.
Well,
So
and
no option.
I do think, Stephen, what you said, a lot of people said the exact same thing about retail. Oh, it's never going to go online. This internet thing is never going to take off. People need to be out and see and touch and feel. And lo and behold, the younger generation, maybe not our generation, maybe Sierra's generation, is adapting to that, and they're buying shoes online, they're buying apparel online. Who would have thought that before? Not I. And so I think we all better be prepared for that future generation who doesn't want to commute 45 minutes to their office every day. They don't want to have to go out for lunch. They don't want to have to pay for dry cleaning when they can, stay at home and wear t-shirts and whatever, and be maybe not as productive and as being in the office. And I happen to agree with you. I think we all are more productive when we see each other and can interact one-on-one. But this is a new generation. This is an online generation, and they can communicate. My daughter can communicate with 30 of her friends in a matter of minutes, and be very effective and efficient. And they don't think anything of that. So we better all understand that going forward. How people are going to be living 20, 30 years from now. Especially
when you can order your food online for your home, all the groceries, and get it within the next hour.
Yeah, it's true.
30 years from now, I'm really not worried about. You guys are a lot younger, but in reality, I see the world of internet shopping. I see my family, my wife and my daughter. They do a lot of that online shopping. And at the same time, I see a lot of it being shipped back because it didn't look like, feel like, smell like what they thought. Now, it works. We all know it works. I can't argue with, all the internet scenarios and how big the companies have become and how wealthy and how the stocks have set records. I still believe that there is a huge part of the world that are a little bit older, and you can't teach old dogs new tricks. And you're probably right. 30 years from now, that could be what it's all about. It's like the Jetsons. You're going to get in your little spacecraft and you're going to fly down the street, or you're going to go and boom. So at the end of the day, I'm more worried about what I'm going to call the next 10 years here in South Florida. This is home base. Even though we go all over the country, this is still our home. This is where we're the strongest. And I'm going to be focusing in the next 6 to 8 weeks with my team and discussions with Sasha and many other people as it relates to what everybody thinks. And I've gotten 3 calls in the last week for young families relocating, already making that move. And when you talk to them gently, you know, you can smell that this is what I'm going to call, they can't wait. Wish they did it 10 years ago. Wish they did it 5 years ago. Can't believe we're still here. Those are the things you start to hear. Anyway, gentlemen, we're out of time. So I want to say thank you. Speak to you, Al. Speak to you, Peter. Probably
Thank
3
you.
hours. Right? Sierra, speak to you later.
No
Gentlemen,
problem. Speak to you
hey,
later. Thank you so much, Alan and Peter.
Take care. Have a good
Thank
day,
you.
everyone. Take
Thank
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
Happy holiday.
Happy holidays,
Yes,
yes.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays to everybody else that's watching as
We
well.
have Passover and Easter coming up, which definitively is a strange holiday for all. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
You too,
everybody.
Peter.